Having personal boundaries is important in every working relationship. You need to set up work-life balance so that you can prioritize yourself and avoid being taken advantage of. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to communicate and prioritize yourself so that you can avoid being taken advantage of at your nanny job. If we haven't met before, I'm Michelle Kelsey, founder of the Nanny Solution by Nannies on Call. Each week, I bring you new videos to educate and inspire you to get better jobs, make more money, and become respected in the industry. Let's dive right into it. The first thing we need to do is figure out what's important to you. What are your values? What are your priorities? What's important that you get done every week for yourself? Once you're able to answer these questions and to establish your values, you'll better be able to establish boundaries at work and communicate what your needs are. For example, let's say every Tuesday and Thursday you go to a yoga class at 6 p.m. That means that you have to leave work every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:15. So when your employer asks you, can you work till 6 on Tuesday, you already have that boundary established and you know every Tuesday and Thursday, no matter what, you're going to this yoga class. It becomes easier to say, I'm really sorry, I'm not available on Tuesday, I have another commitment, but I am flexible on Monday and Wednesday. Something like that. It just becomes easier to know where that boundary is. With that in mind, let's jump right into an exercise to help you establish what your top priorities are. On a piece of paper, write down, my top 3 priorities outside of work are. This can be anything you want it to be. It's up to you, and guess what? It can change. So just because you're writing these 3 things down today doesn't mean tomorrow your top 3 priorities aren't different. So this is for you. You're the only one that's important here. So go for it. Whatever your top 3 priorities are. For me, it's things like my family, eating dinner with my family, getting exercise each week, being able to prepare healthy meals. Those are priorities to me and non-negotiables. Take a moment and think about what your top priorities are. And then next, you're going to write down the top 3 things I need to do for myself each week are, whatever they are. For me, one of my top priorities each week is at 4 p.m. every day, I go for a hike in nature. It's when I re-energize, reconnect with myself, think about what happened during the day, and clear my mind so that I can enjoy my time with my family. This is a non-negotiable for me. If a nanny asks if she can meet with me at 4, the answer is no. If a client asks if they can meet with me at 4, the answer is no. This is a non-negotiable for me, and it happens every week. Well, except when it's raining and I get too lazy to go out myself. But that's a different story. That's my choice. So again, these 3 things are things you can change. You can change them each week. You can change them each day. Your priorities change. This is just about you. I'd love to hear what your priorities are each week and what you do for yourself each week. Comment down below so that other nannies can see what people are doing and get ideas for themselves if they're really struggling in this area. I love seeing a conversation within the community, and I always get back to every comment. So be sure if you have a question, you leave it in the comment section and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Now that you've discovered what's important to you, it's time to jump into the steps and see what you can do to communicate and establish healthy boundaries with your employer. Step number 1, know your limits. This starts at the contract stage. What are you willing to do and not do, and be extremely clear about that. Are you helping with children's laundry but not family laundry? Are you meal prepping for the children but not the family? Are you available outside of work hours for babysitting and weekends? Are you willing to travel with the family? All of these things should be outlined in the contract so that there's no question, and it can be really easily referred to if the job creep and the job scope grows. So you can sit down and have a conversation with the family if you're not willing to do those tasks. The contract is somewhere you can refer back to if ever there's a confusion or a conversation that needs to be had about your job description. If you don't have a contract and you need to get one together or want to talk to your family about one, check out our video on contracts there, and that should help you out. Step 2, communicate clearly. When setting up boundaries, be polite but not passive. It's important to use clear and direct language to discuss your boundaries with your employer. Here are a couple of examples. If the family keeps texting you if they're upset about something and you'd prefer to have a conversation about it, you can say something like, I would prefer that you call me if you want to discuss something rather than texting me. That is clear and concise but polite. Try saying that instead of, I don't mind texting, but if you could also call if it's something serious. This isn't quite as clear because who defines what's serious? You just want them to call you instead of text you. So clear and concise language. Another example would be if your employer offers you a glass of wine after work, saying something like, "Thank you, but I have a personal rule that I never drink with my employers." This is more effective than saying, "No, thank you, I need to drive home, maybe next time." Can you see the difference? It's slight, but clear and concise wins every time. Step 3, be timely. If your employer crosses a line, it's important to speak up immediately or as soon as possible. If you don't speak up, your employer thinks it's okay and they don't even realize that they crossed a boundary with you. I see this all the time with nannies who are constantly complaining about something, yet they've never spoken to their employer about it. An example of this might be saying something like, "I have requested you not talk to me about my work performance in front of the children. Please do not do it again. If you would like to talk to me about my performance, we can sit down away from the children." If that's important to you, speak up and speak up early. Step 4, establishing rules and structure. This comes from the contract as well, so we're going back to the contract. But in this case, it goes a little even beyond that. So what are the rules outside of work? Can your employer text you? Are you answering your phone on the weekend? Are you doing babysitting evenings and weekends and you're starting to feel burned out? Establishing those rules and having structure around what's allowed and not allowed and what you personally are willing to do is important to set up from the very beginning. One suggestion is to set up with your employers times that are work times and personal times. So if they want to meet with you, it's during a work time, or if they need to discuss something with you, it's during work time. It's not after hours when you're gone home on a Friday and they send you a big rant email and now you're upset for the whole weekend. That's not fair to you. So personal time versus work time, and when your employer needs to address something with you, it should always be within work time. Not sure if your employer is crossing any boundaries? Here are some things to look at and think about that may be happening in your job that will help you establish some boundaries with your family. Parents constantly coming home late or expecting you to work overtime. Parents contacting you on your off day. Being asked to do things that are unrelated to childcare. For example, ironing a shirt, cleaning the bathroom, washing the parents' sheets. Being asked to do pet sitting duties unless already agreed upon in the contract. Important conversations taking place over text when they should be done in person or at least over the phone. The scope creep. When the job description contract you agreed upon begins to include more and more tasks and responsibilities without consultation or adequate compensation. Oversharing of personal information that isn't relevant to the childcare role. For example, hearing about your employer's romantic life or conflict with their boss at work. Being the parent's primary source of emotional support, makeshift therapist. Employers wanting to friend or follow you on social media. Parents contradicting or criticizing something you've done in front of the children. I hope those examples are helpful. Those are things we hear from nannies all the time. When you're a caregiver, you give so much of yourself all day, every day, and it does lead to burnout. Establishing healthy boundaries will make you better at your job and more happy in your personal life. Self-care is not selfish. It's a requirement in anyone's job and any role. And often the job creep and the expectations and the boundaries are crossed so often in nanny family relationships. So as the professional nanny, it's up to you to establish those professionally, respectfully, politely, and clearly. If you're looking for more information on how to advocate for yourself, check out our video on Know Your Worth. And other than that, I will see you next Saturday.